Remember that. Remember that. Yeah, so I'm just really looking forward to today. You know, Brittney Carter is just a name that we know in Chicago. She's been putting out mixtapes or been featured on mixtapes, the SoundCloud guest feature. You know, I'm really excited to talk to her about her new album, which is phenomenal. I talked about it on Vocalo a couple weeks ago, and I've really enjoyed it. It's just such a pleasant listen to. And, you know, that was something that I was talking with Johnny Jones on Tuesday when he stopped through to talk about the Kenny EP he put out in September. And sometimes that's what you need. You just need a thought-provoking album that just gives you something extra, a lot of emotion, a lot of soul. And I think that's what Brittney Carter brings on her new EP or new album, As I Am. So, you know, so why even wait? I asked her to jump on at 8:10, but she's early in the guest room, so we're going to bring her in. How are you this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad you can join us on Friday night here on Weekend at Gabe's. This is a new platform that we're experimenting with, so I appreciate you giving us your time.
I appreciate you for the invite. This is really cool.
Nice. We are, so as I was kind of bantering a little bit in the beginning, is that this has been a very exhausting week for anyone who's an American. How happy are you that this thing is going to finally reach a conclusion, or maybe not? Who knows? But how close have you been following the election?
Just a little bit. Haven't really been giving too much energy to it.
Really? Oh wow. I've been polar opposite. I can't do anything else. Well, my kids have to feed themselves from now on, at least until we find out who wins.
Understood.
So you have the new album out. Congratulations, a huge achievement. I know that's something that you've been working on, strategically working on, and making sure that it was fine crafted and tuned to meet your standards. I read in your profile piece that the Reader did about 1.5 years ago that you had been flirting with the idea of an album back then, but it wasn't just quite ready. So now it seems like it's ready. What made the album ready for consumption and for the public listening? What happened?
Really just finishing recording, finishing up videos, trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do with my merchandise and things like that. So I just wanted to make sure I had everything ready to go before I actually, just release the project. I wanted to make sure I had everything lined up.
Nice. Now that it's out, people always, that's the debut album is the baby, right? Because that's what people, if they weren't following you before, this may be their introduction to who Brittney Carter is. And there's always a lot of weight with sort of that first offering. Do you feel a sense of relief, joy? How can you describe the emotion of finally putting it out there?
I feel so much, I don't know. I feel really good about it. I wasn't really sure how people were going to receive it. I know I loved it. But I was just, I guess, hoping that, the people and the people who listen to my music, received it well. And so far, so good.
Yeah. Your father is a huge hip hop listener, and I read that Jay-Z is his favorite rapper. I know that's a hard comparison to make.
Yeah.
As a parent, and I don't have yet any children who are old enough to make their own albums, but I have to imagine that he's very biased and favorable to you. So what has his response been?
Oh my God. Like he's like a super fan. His social media looks exactly like my social media. So it's really funny. It's really cool. He's very supportive, of course, because he's a huge hip hop head. So I think he's just really happy.
That's good. Has he critiqued or given any feedback? He's like, maybe you should, like, this bar was hot, this one not so much.
Not really. Most of the time, he's just like around the crib, just saying random lines of like songs that I have. I'm just like, stop, like.
I mean, but that's so cool though that he's like quoting your music, so you know that he's listening. So it's not like he's just like passing it off, like like if it was like an essay or something. It's like, yeah, it was really good. Like he's actually listening, and he's listening to enough that he can memorize it. So that's good.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm very grateful for, just having supportive parents. I don't, a lot of people may not have that, so I'm very grateful.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. My mom is usually the first one to like anything I post or promote about this show. So, I shout out to my mom, day one supporter. Even though she doesn't understand what I do, but she's always going to share and like it. So, you gotta love it.
No, parents are always the first ones to support. Got to show them love.
Exactly. Well, you've had quite a little bit of excitement leading up to this release. Last month, you put out an amazing like freestyle. You and Olive Blue just kind of like hanging out like on a skate park freestyling, and then one Missy Elliott decided to poke her head into your life and click like. That had to be an enormous moment, even though just like a like, but to know that she saw your work and someone of her stature in hip hop and the music and music writing and all that she's done, I know that had to feel good.
Hell yeah. I was like, oh shit, maybe I am talented. Yeah, I am pretty good.
Like, can you put on your like your bio now, co-signed by Missy
Oh,
Elliott?
hell yeah. I'm just like, okay, I want to add this to the list of add this to the list of celebrities that like my shit. This is pretty cool.
There you go. Like, do you get like extra mashed potatoes at the dinner table now because like Missy Elliott gave you a
I,
co-sign?
I really I stay alone, so no, not really.
Understood, understood. Well, I mean that had to like feel like good because it was like right on the eve of the album. So even
So,
if because like in the album there's like this feeling of like self-doubt a little bit, and there's
mhm.
this human intuition that when something is good, it's almost that imposter syndrome. Like you
Yeah.
feel like it's going so good that you're like, I can't believe it. Everything's going so good. So let me find a way to screw it up. And so, the album like bounces on this, this tipsy turvy way of you like embracing the success, but also kind of questioning if it's legit, if it feels real, like it happened so soon. Like you're like, yo, it's only a couple years ago I was at Home Depot, and now I'm
Yeah.
making music for a living. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how do you like how do you settle those feelings? Like, do you give that much thought? Or like, do I belong here despite anything I might be feeling internally?
I mean, I'm not really sure if they ever settle. I think just working, continue to do, what I'm doing. I think that kind of like solidifies like the feelings of doubt. I don't think they can really come from outside sources either. It's just something that you have to kind of like work through on your own.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that anyone who's either doing media, music, anything like in a public forum, you're always gonna feel like, is it a good enough, or why are people liking it? And, like, is it? You can always question 1,000 reasons why something is popping and not working, and have a certain feeling about that. And I can't imagine as being an artist like yourself, like putting yourself out there and seeing the success and the approval and the positive reception and being wowed by it. Or even being overwhelmed by it. Did you often get taken aback by how many people are listening to your records and responding to it, or leaving messages on social media?
As of lately, I wouldn't say it's overwhelming, but I definitely realize now that like, oh, it's not realistic for me to respond to everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the beginning, it was more so like I want to be interactive with everybody who's showing me love because they don't really have to take time out of their day to like listen to this. And now it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna put this out because the following is growing, and I can't really respond to everybody, but I do my best to keep in touch with the people, who've been there from the beginning.
absolutely. Well, what has been the best part of this journey? Like I was mentioning, I had read that you were like a few short years ago, you're working in like merchandising for Home Depot. It was like people were like returning stuff they didn't want. Is that what you were doing?
So I want to say in the beginning, I was just working in the gardening center at Home Depot, and
Mm,
I eventually saw opening up for merchandising, and basically, I mean, shit, we just like build shit and merchandise shit. We're not really like customers or anything like that. We're
yeah,
just we basically work for the vendors. And so that's what I was doing. I had like a really early shift, and I had like a set schedule every day, Monday through Friday. And eventually I was just like, yeah, I gotta let this shit go.
Yeah,
I think like I quit like right after I opened up for J Rock. I was just like, no, I can't go back here.
I read that like you had only maybe enough money for like 1 month of rent when you decided to quit. I think I think a lot of people who are pursuing a passion or a dream and hanging on, having like 1 foot in security and 1 foot in the dream, but not ready to let go. I think that's that. I mean, that's a decision that I've had to make, and I know a lot of people who are chasing art. They have to make it. Like how scary as hell that is, but also how fulfilling and relieved that you are making the leap and you're just gonna go for it.
Oh man, that shit was scary as hell. I was just like, don't know how I'm gonna pay these bills, but everything will work out. Like I don't know why I had such an optimistic viewing of like, oh yeah, like this shit's gonna have to work out. I really didn't have like anything to lean on, so it was just like a leap of faith, and I'm like, okay, this shit is gonna either work or not.
Yeah. I mean, you ended up working a little bit part time doing daycare under your mom's daycare. I understand. So like you that kind of helped. So, but it's part time, so it gave you more flexibility to continue to work on your craft.
Yeah.
That helps. You make the same money, but don't have to work as twice as much.
Yeah. I had a lot of free time to actually create things.
So you have two younger siblings. Like, do you like being around kids? Like, what is? And also, you studied child education. Like, what is it about like children that you appreciate or that focus? Do you enjoy that?
I actually have a lot of different siblings. There's a lot of us. um,
Okay,
my mom is a foster mom. So I have two siblings that I grew up living with in the house, but my mom also adopted two kids, and then there's a third one that she's going through the process of right now. And I have siblings on my dad's side. So there's quite a few of us.
nice. So, what child education? I mean, where you still? Did you think about being a teacher or policy? What were you trying to do there?
So my mom owns a daycare, and I was just like, I'm just gonna take over her business. And then that was the plan. I'm just gonna take over her business. She's not gonna want to do this forever. And one day I was just like in class, and I'm just like, I'm gonna drop out. Like, be here right now. Yeah. When I'm disinterested in something, like I'll completely disengage, and so that's when I knew I'm just like, yeah, it's time for me to leave here.
Yeah, I totally understand that as well. I can't imagine. There's many of days I spent in community college just taking classes for the hell of it. I'm like, why am I doing this? So I understand. um, so the journey has been fruitful for you. Like you passed through YCA. With Kevin Koval, you developed a relationship with Ad2, who's also one of my favorite MCs. Uh, Not even in the city, but just of anyone that I've ever heard. He's phenomenal. And cultivating those relationships, well, what did that do to help boost your self-esteem, your confidence in what you were writing, the poetry that you were writing, and then to make the leap into being an MC?
Well, I want to say sometime in like 2000, maybe late 2014, or maybe actually I don't know. It was sometime in 2014. I was introduced to the whole YCA scene. I was like unfamiliar. I wasn't familiar with the art scene at all. And I started going to their, I want to say on Saturdays, they had like writing workshops, like poetry geared, like workshops. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll check this out, see how this is. And it was really cool. I'm just like, oh shit, like there's like a group of people who enjoy the same type of shit I like. So it was I think it was just being in the same room in the same community as people who were interested in the same thing that I was, and I'm just like, oh, okay. And I think eventually I got more comfortable with like sharing poems and stuff like that.
Yeah, I read that you were like a little bit kind of shy. You were like one of the last ones to like, you know, share out as like because when you think of like emceeing, it's like almost like you have to be confident and boast about who you are. It's like that almost comes with the job responsibility, right? And so
Yeah.
so that those early developments of you kind of like, like I really don't know if this is great. I know it's good, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to take that leap yet. Did that seem like such a far fetch of where you started and where you're at now? Could you ever imagine it?
Well, in the beginning, I wasn't shooting to become an artist. I was just going to, to write and be in community with people. I wasn't really shooting to actually share music or anything like that. I wasn't even doing music. I was just I was just writing on my own at home,
Right.
and it just gradually went there.
Yeah. Scud One is helped produce most of the album with you. Talk a little bit about like your guys' relationship, how you guys collaborate. How does the process begin with? And I read that like you kind of help pick out some of the instruments to kind of like start building the song up a little bit. Well, where does the ideas generate, and how do you guys reach the goal of a song completed? Take me a little bit into that process.
So I'm actually still building a relationship with Scud One. I've only met him like twice.
I gotta love it.
Yeah, he hit me, I want to say in 2019. And it was so funny. It was like the perfect timing because I was working on a group of songs already, but I wasn't really satisfied. So I wanted to scrap those and start all over. And he sent me a pack of instrumentals, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, it feels like this guy knows me. So, I messaged him back, asked him if I could have some of the songs for a project, and he was just like, sure.
Right.
And so that's kind of how I went through all of the things he sent me, and I kind of like just pieced together like what I wanted the project to sound like, and that's how we kind of got started.
Yeah. Well, what was the when you first started building songs for this? What did you kind of know what you wanted to say on there, or was it a collection of records that you had, and then you kind of started organizing them, and it kind of fit into a theme of what you wanted to share about yourself? Did you kind of have an idea of what you wanted to do, or did that kind of develop as you were working on the project?
That just that happened over time.
Mm.
What I did was I went through every single thing he sent me, and all of the things I liked. I just kind of like put them in piles of like what I like the most, what I sort of like, what I didn't like at all. And so I kind of just like would build around the things I was constantly listening to.
Sure. Um, I think that the part about the album I like a lot is just how personable it is, and you've always been open and expressive about yourself. But I think just like the realness, you could feel that through the songs, like we're mentioning, and I think that takes a lot of that there's a bravery in that to putting yourself out there because the way that sometimes hip hop reacts to honesty isn't always positive. But that's what I love about what you're doing is that you're breaking down some of those barriers of what people think an MC or rapper should be like, and it's very thought provoking. But it's also like easily digestible. Like I can understand and feel the words, so it's just not like barred out crazy words on top of words. And you kind of follow it and understand it. It's just like it's accessible to anyone who just takes a moment to stop and listen. And I have to give you a lot of
Mm.
credit for that.
No, I appreciate it. I think I just took not even took note, but I think I create what I've consumed over the years, like my favorite, things and favorite songs. I think it just like comes out when I create.
I read. I also saw that so you're into films. So you like to watch movies. Is that true?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So do you? I don't know if you ever tried to write a movie script, but I understand that it may be similar. But do you kind of feel like when you're building a song and you're fine tuning, and that's one of the things that I love too. It feels like every word is precisely placed where it needs to be, and it's not just filler. It's like it every word has its purpose. And I kind of feel like that
Yeah.
with the films, like a script to a film, the same ideology applies. Do you kind of feel, in a sense, like you're building a movie or building a scene when you're making records or writing records?
It's definitely a scene I have in my head. Like for example, I will say the Prove 'Em Wrong joint.
Yeah.
I wrote that after I came from the movies from seeing Creed.
Mm,
I wrote the hook after I seen the movie. So like books and movies are definitely like a huge inspirational like tool that I use when I'm writing.
yeah.
I don't No, it's just something. It's like a routine I have. Like I'm watching something that I really like, or maybe I'll find like an interview on YouTube that I'm really into, or like a chapter of a book that I was really like into at the time, and I kind of like use that for my inspiration.
Yeah. So you're able to adapt a theme or a story or something and apply it to an experience that you yourself might have had.
Yeah.
That's something I can't do. A lot of us probably can't do. So that's great. I'm also a huge movie guy. Like I love watching movies. My entire family. That's all we do before the quarantine hit. That's how we would spend our time at the bookstore and then go to the movies.
Yeah.
We miss it dearly. We went to go see Tenet when it was playing for like a short time.
Ooh, I heard about that movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I keep hearing great things about it.
It's really good, but it's a Christopher Nolan film. So if you see Inception, you can kind of if you've seen Interstellar, you kind of know where I'm going
He
with it.
made right?
Which one?
Shutter Island.
No, that was Marty.
Okay.
Oh goodness, why can't I remember his name? Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Well, that's a damn shame I can't remember his last name. But anyways, doesn't matter. But yeah, he no, it's really good. And we went, me and my son went the opening weekend, and we went to the Logan Square Theater in Logan Square, and we sat there with our mask and came out Rona free. So it was a success. And then they shut down afterwards. So we got the last film in. But is that something that you also enjoy, going to the theaters? Is that one of the things that you do to kind of just like distance yourself from the stresses and just able to relax a little bit?
Hell yeah. I spent a lot of time. Well, before COVID, of course.
Right.
I spent a lot of my time at the movie theaters, or even if it's just like something at home. I have like a huge collection of DVDs that I've collected over time. So yeah, I spent a lot of my time watching movies and reading.
Martin Scorsese, are someone in the chat room. Let
Yeah,
us
I seen it.
know. Struggle season. Um, but that's fantastic. So the what's the next thing? I know that we can't. And I was talking to Johnny Jones on Tuesday because he has the EP out there, and I feel terrible for your artists like yourself who have great projects out there. And the usual routine is, all right, hit the road, tour, merch, meet the people, shake hands, kiss babies. And since all that's gone, we can't do that work at least in person.
Yeah.
What is the strategy to try to get this thing out there and into more people's lives?
Man, it's so crazy. It feel like it's been promoting itself. It's been really cool.
That
Um,
helps.
yeah. I want to say yesterday, like Pete Rock has shared like the video with me and Olive, and so that's been able to get more ears to the projects, which has been really cool. Um, and I mean, for as far as myself, I want to say that next week I'll be doing something with Hot Rod, like a live virtual thing. So as far as just getting merch out, doing random like pop-ups or whatever, or virtual events, that's kind of all we can really do right now, and be safe at the same time.
Yeah, I mean I know it's not the same, but it's like
Yeah, it's really not the same at all. Yeah, it hasn't been fun being in the house this much. At first, in the beginning, it was cool. I'm just like,
oh
okay,
yeah,
I'm
I
home
agree,
by
1,000%. Yeah,
love being home. This is awesome. And then I'm just like, okay, I gotta get out. This is driving me insane.
yeah. I work from home during the day, and it was like the first few months were like, oh, this is cool. Like I'm saving money. I'm not spending money on gas. And
Mhm.
then I don't have to deal with traffic and all that stuff. And I think it really struck me in September of how much I'm not enjoying this anymore. It's like I enjoy driving and I like going places and without having to worry if I'm gonna get sick or die. It's like like I really can't wait for this thing to be over. But it's starting to feel like a little imprisoned in my own space. But
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah, these last few months, I'm just like, okay, I have to find just any reason to go outside. I'll take a walk around the block,
oh
anything I can fresh air.
And I'm not even offended because like I have my it's like a sleeve that I put over my face when I'm running or going out for a walk, and like immediately as like if I'm gonna come in contact with someone, I'm going across the street. Like no
Yeah.
chances. Like, so
No, I understand. I really understand.
all right, so I read that you also were like you were like a blog interview, like you blogged or did interviews for a local blog for Flow for Days.
I was for a little while. That's funny.
All right, so you did interviews. You said you really enjoyed it. You really liked it. So I need to Brittney Carter coach me on being a better interviewer. That's what I need to know tonight.
I mean, it was a very brief thing I was doing, and I wasn't doing like physical interviews. It was just me checking out people's music and giving like my honest review of the songs. I was really trying to find like people in the city, or not just in the city, but just people I would come across who are like underground, and I would listen to the songs, and I would do like a depth like in-depth interview of their music. So that was really cool.
Mm. Oh, so you were critiquing the work. So
Not really. Not really. I was just like finding random, like just no matter what the genre was, like it didn't really have to be hip hop. It could be like R&B. I was just like finding stuff that sounded really cool. And I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna write about this, and hopefully somebody can see this and like and share their stuff.
there you go. Has anyone come back and be like, "Yo, Brittney Carter reviewed my stuff"?
And it's so crazy. So there's a guy from Detroit named Courtney Bell, and I didn't really have any music out at the time. But I thought his music was like so dope, and I'm just like, yo, like I'm just gonna do a quick quick review real quick and post this on the site or whatever. And I actually ended up being introduced to him a few years later, and we're good friends now. So that's pretty awesome.
There you go. That's great. So yeah, I mean, I've before I started doing this, I was trying to compete with the fake short drives in the early tens, and
Yeah.
I followed a lot of your same strategy, like finding people who didn't have a following, just like dig up records off SoundCloud or DatPiff and all these other places that that have dead links now that don't exist. They're somewhere in a grave in the internet grave. But yeah, that's exactly what I was doing, and it was kind of rewarding in a sense, finding like people who are putting stuff out and getting that acknowledgement and seeing their reaction. That and it could have been the same thing probably for you as well. So in reviewing your stuff and talking about it, and how long did you kind of feel like you were putting work out there and no one's noticing it, and that has to be kind of like a depressing feeling, and that someone to highlight it and talk positively about it, that has to be a real confidence booster, I imagine.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm still amazed that people are really like enjoying this project this much. Like not that I don't, like my confidence is low or anything, but I'm such a perfectionist, such a huge perfectionist, and so I always want everything to be perfect. And it's really cool to see that people are actually enjoying this project and are like paying attention to the lyrics. That's something I do with my favorite music. So it's cool to see other people doing the same thing with something that I've created. It's a really rewarding feeling.
Yeah, I see. You even got like the so the what you got Navarro like on the other side, like telling you like, "Yo, what are you doing? What are you talking about?" And it reminded me so much of Biggie and Puff with the it, it's the most random song, but to refer to your song,
No, that's what I was going for. So that's really cool.
the suicidal thoughts, where he's like, "Yo, Big, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
I was like, "That's so amazing." It felt like just like an updated, modified version of it that sounded really cool. Try to talk you off the ledge.
Yeah. That's like plenty of times I'm like, Navarro, I don't even want to do this anymore. So he's like probably so sick of me. Like, Brittany, what are you talking about?
Like midnight text, like, "What are we doing?"
It's gonna work. Brittany, relax. You're thinking too much.
That's great. No, I really, I was like, I was thinking about it. And I was like, "Oh, that's phenomenal. That's really great."
Yeah.
Let me let you go, but thank you so much. Tell people where they can follow you, how they can get the album, put it into their live stream.
Oh man, look. So my name is Brittney Carter. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at underscore Brittney. That's BRITTNEY Carter. And my project is everywhere. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, as I am. And you can also check out the Loop Theory website. You can purchase it directly from me if that's what you would like to do. And I also have merch out, so that's pretty tight.
There you go. Help support Brittney Carter, who's putting the city on her back, and we're definitely supporting you. And thank you so much for finding time to join us here on Weekend at Gabe's. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Please, if you ever want to stop by again, we would love to have you back.
Oh, thank you so much for the invite.
Sounds good. Thank you, Brittney. Brittney Carter joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's.